What I find interesting, Kanesh, is that you went for the business behind the front desk, behind the scenes.
That's right.
Tell us what Seven Rooms business is.
Sure. SevenRooms, we're a hospitality technology company. We are a reservation and guest engagement platform for restaurants and other hospitality businesses. What does that mean? That means we take those businesses and we address every part of the customer journey. So discovery and booking for those restaurants, the in-dining room experience, as well as loyalty and retention. And we have a big focus on making that data-driven behind the scenes.
Now, what's discovery? When you say discovery, what does discovery mean?
Discovery is where we find your restaurant and where you can take action on it. So if
for the customer to discover you.
For the customer.
Discovery by the client.
Customer for the restaurant,
For the restaurant.
Yes.
And, you said hospitality technology company, not hospitality company.
Right.
Right? You don't care about the sheets, right?
No, we don't
Or
care
the
about the
silverware or any of that.
No.
You do a lot of restaurants, right?
Right.
Ilana? Yeah. So what do you do for a restaurant? And what's the typical size of the restaurant that might use Seven Rooms?
So we have a wide variety of restaurants, anywhere from a small independent operator to a large enterprise hotel client.
Right.
So we work with them to provide them with a tool that allows them to capture their guest data through reservations and bookings, create a great experience in service, and then also create the ability to capture data about that guest so that they can personalize the experience, follow up with them afterwards, market to them things that are relevant to that guest.
And how do you do that? Do you then have to do that for them, or you just give them the data and tell them, here, do what you want with it?
We've kind of taken a page out of Apple's playbook, which is to become a great integrator. Historically, systems inside of a restaurant have been really siloed, meaning they had data about their point of sale, what people were ordering, but that wasn't connected to the system that was making reservations. And so back in 2013, when we were looking at these technologies, we said, what a great way to synthesize this data by integrating those things together.
So this means now that the restaurant may want to call somebody and say, do you want to come in to eat instead of order to go? Sometimes that's a poor example, but how do they use it? What do they do with it?
So a great example of how they use data is by understanding what you ordered before. So historically, the technology wouldn't allow you to understand that, but today, if you walk into a restaurant that has a sommelier, for example, they're going to know that you ordered the 3-priced bottle of wine as opposed to the expensive one the last 3 times you were here, and maybe you prefer Pinot Noir instead of the Bordeaux.
But who will tell the sommelier that?
The sommelier would have this information at his fingertips while they're using SevenRooms software inside the restaurant.
Okay. So I won't know it, but he's going to say last time they ordered.
Exactly.
He's going to see that.
Exactly.
So when you walk into a restaurant, they're actually checking you in on the SevenRooms software. When you're booking a reservation on a website, you're actually booking it on the SevenRooms software.
Tell me more ways about what the client benefits from with you.
So there's lots of different things. So I think in the past, if you looked at how restaurants were discovered and booked online, there were very few key players in the early days of the internet. And since then, things have exploded, right? People book and search for restaurants on Google. They go to Google Maps. They go to Instagram. They go to TripAdvisor. They go to Yelp. So there's all these online platforms where discovery is happening. And our philosophy is let's try to plug the restaurant into as many of those platforms online as possible so that they have choice and control and can accept bookings from wherever they think is the best place for their clientele.
I see on the website that it says we charge restaurants lower fees. Tell us about that. How do you do that, and how so?
So we actually just charge the restaurant a subscription fee, so they're paying us monthly to use our service. We don't charge them based on the number of guests that they're bringing into the restaurant or anything like that. We're just simply charging them to use our software, which is empowering them to capture all of the data and manage their operations and service, manage their database and marketing initiatives inside and out of the restaurant.
Do you charge by the number of seats in the restaurant, or how do you charge the subscription?
It's generally a per restaurant fee.
Yeah.
And of course, we work with restaurants large and small, and we really do create a great experience. No matter if you're a small restaurant or a huge restaurant, you still get a great level of service from us personally.
And do they go for that flat fee? Do most of them like that as opposed to a per restaurant reservation?
Yeah, it's very predictable.
Right.
Yeah, that's the key point. I think predictability is really important. I think there's a couple of trends that have happened in the restaurant industry, and you can see it right here in New York City. Whereas they used to make the same meals Now they're paying a lot more for rent on their leases. Minimum wage laws have gone up, so the labor pool that they're working with they're spending more on that. And so where it used to be a 15% profit margin business, now it's a sub 5% profit margin business, and they want to see predictability in their costs.
How do they stay in business at sub 5?
It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult for the restaurant industry right now. And if you look across New York City, you'll see oftentimes that there are restaurant closings that are happening on an ongoing basis.
I understand that some of the big delivery services charge a 30% fee to deliver. Is that so? Do you
That's
know?
correct. They charge a 30% commission in many cases.
That's going to be so difficult for a low margin business to start with, to take 30%.
It is definitely difficult. And, some restaurants that have a high check average are doing okay there, but lots of other restaurants are underwater on some of those bookings.
Do you sell to the restaurants by walking in or online? How do you do it? How do you find them?
A number of different ways. We have a lot of word of mouth. Our clients are brought on organically often. We do have a sales team that's going out and introducing our product into the market.
In person? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Conferences, all kinds of things.
Oh.
Yeah. A lot of times people will leave their restaurant or their hotel that they're at, they'll go to a new one, and they immediately bring SevenRooms on.
That's nice. You specialize in restaurants because you haven't had time to take over the rest of the world, or this is where you want to stay, or where are you going to go from here?
The restaurant market is so big, right? It's a massive market, and it's global. So for right now, we're content expanding in this area. We do work with other types of locations as well. So we work with some types of entertainment venues. We work with Las Vegas resorts, for example, that have cabanas and pools. And we also manage those operations as well.
What is one of the best marketing techniques or sales techniques in the New York restaurant industry right now?
I think in the restaurant industry overall, people want a personalized experience and understanding your guests' preferences before they walk in the door so that you can create that for them, whether it is the type of wine that they like, the type of food they like, the table they like to sit in, the server they enjoy working with. They want a personalized experience, and when you go to a restaurant and you feel like you're a regular, you're going to go back. You're going to feel good about that, and creating that experience for people is really impactful.
Yeah, but the server has to pull it off too, right? It has to seem sincere.
Totally. And
in
we create that experience in the whole check-in process and giving that data to the server so that they do understand who this guest is, so that it can be a seamless experience.
And if you think about the people that have been trained in their role to provide the best hospitality and be subtle and experts at this, it's those servers. It's the people that are getting tipped for their work because they're going to do an amazing job and provide great hospitality.
So with SevenRooms software, if I went into a restaurant and there were a half a dozen servers, would each of them have the data for the customer that only they are waiting on in front of them?
It depends on the operation of the restaurant, but yes, that's usually the case.
That's what you try to do, right?
Yep, of course.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. And what did you say the name SevenRooms means? Comfortable and welcome or something? What did you tell me?
So there's a sort of a genesis behind the name, which is when we were starting the company back in 2011, we were trying to come up with great names for this business. And most of them were pretty terrible, and my co-founders were threatening to quit. But we finally landed on this idea of 7 Rooms, which came from Graydon Carter, who's the editor of Vanity Fair magazine and sort of an arbiter of trendy and cool in New York. And he used to always talk about the 7 Rooms theory of New York, which is in New York City, there are 7 interconnected rooms, each one more exclusive or more special than the place before it. And just when you think you're in the top spot or the best place, there's some other trap door you haven't gone through to discover this amazing new room. And it's not about exclusivity, but it is about feeling special and at home, and that's your 7th room. So we thought that spoke to the ethos of the business.
Your 7th room is where you're comfortable and at home.
It's where you get that personalized service and special attention.
Wow. Well, thank you for putting software to good use. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.